Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Lee Rourke, and this is the It's Not About Food podcast. And I'm so glad you're here and going to listen to my video that I have my beautiful assistant helping me with. And many people are all involved in getting these shows on the road. So I really appreciate them, and I appreciate you being here too. What we're going to talk about today is a phenomenon in eating disorder world. And it can come up before you get recovery. It can come up while you're trying to get recovery. But if you know what it is, it's a lot easier to navigate and to understand. Hence, makes you less inclined to beat yourself up because of it. So that is the idea of feelings and fat thoughts and what happens about that. So the card is, the goddess is standing here with a sort of a lot of stuff going around behind her head, like a big thought bubble with words in it. And she's standing there just sort of like being in that circle of thoughts. And the little deer person has a little question mark on top of his head, like, what are you doing, Missy? So, and the card says the thoughts are too fat, question mark, too flat, question mark, too big, too little, question marks, too old, too saggy, too wrinkly, too flabby, too soft. Are you good enough yet? So that is what's going around in her head, round and round. So the back of the card says, fat thoughts are the kind of thoughts we have when we are criticizing our bodies, calling them too fat, too ugly, too big, or too whatever we call it. These thoughts are learned. Let me just say that again. These thoughts are learned from our culture's fat prejudice and body hatred. We didn't come here thinking this. We didn't make this up. It was sort of given to us on a plate. So sometimes when we're young and we experience shame or uncomfortable feelings, we change those feelings into body hatred. So bear with me for a minute while I explain this. When we begin to understand that our fat thoughts and body hatred are learned, we learn how to do that, then we can take the blame off of our body and process the deeper feelings in the far more constructive and fulfilling ways. So this was hard for me to get my own head wrapped around when I kind of came up with it when we were writing the book, It's Not About Food, and sort of making the nonprofit Beyond Hunger have like a set thing to do at every group. And the feelings and fat thoughts is sort of like, so I have a big feeling, I'm upset at somebody at work, and I don't know what to do about that. There's nothing I can do about it in this instance. That person is my boss, and there's no way to get rid of them. So, or to even, I feel like even that I can talk to them or change the situation at all. So what I would do is, rather than make a boundary, think about leaving, work the situation somehow, admit that this was happening to me, even to myself, and work through the problem to a solution that felt okay for me. What I would do is I would just push it down, and then I would think that I would immediately think that I was too fat. I would immediately think I was too stupid. I would immediately think I was a big loser. I would immediately say I'm too sensitive, or what the words I heard when I was little. If I had a big feeling, I was too something. But it definitely was fat thoughts most of the time. My body was not okay, and that's why I was feeling bad. without remembering that I was feeling bad because of what happened to me at work or on the subway or at home or in the car, whatever. I had a big feeling about something, and instead of being able to feel it, I would blame it on my body. I would have fat thoughts. So I really had to be very careful about this idea that anytime I started beating my body up, anytime I started saying these words, "You are so fat," whether I was in the eyes of the world or not, it would be a knife in my heart. But it is a way I took care of myself. And that is the thing that's so weird about it. And it doesn't make any logical sense that if I have a big feeling like I'm upset about how somebody treated me and I need to put a boundary down, or the news is upsetting me, or we're living through a pandemic, and I have feelings about that, rather than just feeling that, I call myself names, and I put most of them on my body. I'm too fat. And we say a lot of things are fat thoughts, even if it's not about fat, but I'm too fat. I'm eating too much. I'm a big slob. I'm not learning a new language all the time. I'm not building a house. I'm not painting the bathroom. I am not living up to my full potential. And that's why I have this feeling. Instead of, I have this feeling because I'm a human and my feelings got hurt, or I need to take care of myself in some way and I don't really know how. But what I did know how to do was beat myself up. I had been doing that for a very long time. And in that way, I felt better. I felt like, okay, well, I'm too fat, so that means I could go on a diet and I would be thin. So I had a plan, if you will. Instead of, I am very upset about my boss, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm upset about my boss, and my options are things I don't like talk to the person. I'm upset about my partner, and I don't know how to bring this up without having it turn into a big fight. I'm upset about the world situation, and there's nothing I can do about that. So I'm too fat, and then I can do something about that. Instead of, I don't know what to do about that. Instead of, I am afraid that I'm going to lose my job. I knew how to feel fat and stupid and ugly and not okay. I had no idea how to feel lonely or overwhelmed or sad or, without hope. Those things were really hard for me. So I would rather feel too fat than feel like I was a loser. And and then what that made me feel like, if I felt like I was a loser, that was beyond what I could help myself with. But if I felt like I was too fat, then I could go on a diet. So I had a thing I could do. Of course, I knew diets didn't work and I probably wouldn't go on a diet, but I still would think that. I would still feel better about coming up with something that could be solved instead of, I feel horrible right now and there really is nothing to do about that. I have clients over the years, and I thought myself that what should I do when I have a feeling that's very hard for me to feel? What should I do about that? And sometimes there's things to do, but mostly it's just feel that. Why do anything? Just feel the depression, feel the overwhelm, feel the anxiety, feel whatever you feel. Let that be okay that you're feeling that. what happens to us? We're feeling, thinking, living creatures. In the feeling of the feeling, many times we will get an answer of what to do. Maybe not every time, but we will at least be able to sort of be with ourselves as we have this feeling. And that's the important part. So if you're sort of, working along on a day and things are going okay and you're, doing all your little job and everything's great, and you all of a sudden feel like you're so fat you will not even fit in your car seat, that you'll have to get a new car right now before you can even go home because you are so huge. That is usually not what you think it is. It's something happened, some thought, some feeling, something happened before that. So I would say, be walking down a street, I would be okay. I would see a couple that seemed like they were really in love. I was not at that time in a relationship that was very positive or healthy. And so I would start to feel bad. Not that they were together, but that I didn't have what I imagined they had, which I didn't even know, of course. I just assumed that they looked like they were happy, so they must be happy. And so then I would get mad at me that I didn't have a relationship that was healthy and loving. And then I would get mad at me that I was too fat to be in a relationship that was healthy and loving. And then I felt better because I didn't feel hopeless that I was never going to have a relationship. I didn't feel, I felt like I had a plan. Even if I wasn't going to do the plan, I felt like I had a plan. So these are things that I learned how to take care of myself. And when we set those up, we were smart and trying to take care of ourselves in a way that worked for us at that moment. What happens is it doesn't work for always, because after a while, we just can't keep telling ourselves how awful we are and still live a happy life. We just can't. We cannot be on our back all the time that we're not okay. We can't keep telling ourselves that we're fat and old and ugly and stupid and be like free in the world. We can't. We can do it for a while, obviously. I did it for a while, did it as long as I could. But after a while, I had to not believe what I was saying to myself. So I would challenge myself. I would say, I wouldn't even know that I was having a big feeling. I would just all of a sudden be so fat I couldn't believe it. And I would have to stop and say, Laura Lee, you're not so fat you can't believe it. And what's going on? How can I help you? What do you need? What's happening? And many times I would get, I am very lonely. I am very afraid. I am depressed. And I don't know what to do about that. So I would get that thought. And I would immediately know that it wasn't about my body. And it wasn't about that I was stupid or, it wasn't about what I was telling myself. It was about something else. And then once I got that, I could change it. And I also want to say, don't worry about whether you get the exact thing. It's a feeling thing. A lot of times if we just pay attention to us, in the parts of us that don't like to be paid attention to, it's just we don't know what the real truth is. We're all caught up in the cycle of feeling body hatred, feeling body hatred, feeling I'm so stupid I can't believe it, body hatred, feeling, what can I do? I need to fix this somehow because I'm broken, feeling body hatred, and it just goes on and on. To step out of that cycle and say, wait, I'm not any of those things. Maybe I don't like my weight. Maybe I'm worried that I'm stupid because I was told I was stupid. Maybe I'm really, I have to work on myself to get a relationship a little bit more than I have. Or maybe it's me. Maybe I haven't been picking the right people. Maybe I need to look at that, instead of that it's me. I'm bad. I'm wrong. I'm not okay. I'm broken. So you open up the world a little bit to have other experiences of yourself. And that is really the key. That we're not, the reason why we're having feelings is not because we're terrible. It's because we're human. Humans have feelings. And we live often in a culture that doesn't really, doesn't want to have feelings. It's sort of like we're all in our feels and we don't like it because we don't know how to deal with ourselves. We certainly don't know how to deal with you. We can kind of do it when kids are little sometimes, but even then, if we were never taught how to have our own feelings, we don't want our kids to have feelings. And then everybody goes around with a hurt feeling. So it's of this culture that we live in that we haven't been taught. What are you feeling? How can you take care of yourself? How can I help you? What do you need? Just having those simple questions to us when we feel like this goes a long way, even if we don't get an answer. But I know what doesn't help is beating ourselves up more and blaming our bodies for our feelings. What does help is to feel the feelings. So thank you so much for listening to my little rant about feelings and fat thoughts today. I really appreciate it. And please become a Patreon member. Listen to my podcasts. They are on my website, lauraleerourke.com. And the videos are also there as well. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next month.